So we're back at it today on this fuel tech install for the Z31. There's a couple connections that we need to figure out to retain for the auto AC. So basically this one right here, this is for the water cock, which leads to the heater core. I couldn't really find any information about this. I know what it does, but none of the wiring makes any sense. Nissan's not really known for well made diagrams, especially back then. So we're gonna have to figure out where this one went. The actual AC compressor as well, and then this is a vacuum tank that we need to figure out where this is all going. So the vacuum tank I don't think is that big of a deal. The reason why I say that is because that it does not seem like it's part of the harness. So like we didn't unplug it when we removed the engine harness, so it should be relatively intact. So what we're going to do today is we're going to ohm out, or we're going to do a continuity test to find out where these wires go. And where it ends up here, and then we're going to try to retain all that. So that's our mission for today. All right, so we've located the connector from the water cock over there to this plug right here. So we can either A, strip this harness down and then remove these three, or we can cut the ends and then just plug it in. So there is also a third wire here that's on here that is, I'm actually not sure what color this wire is, but we're gonna try to find out to see where this one right here is located. So we know these two right here for the water cock. We've just got to figure out where this one is going, because it also goes into the main engine harness here. So we've got to figure out where this one's going, and then we should be able to just replicate it and plug and play it. So that's led us to finding this one wire and then still the wire off the compressor. So the plot thickens from the AC compressor. It goes to the FICD for the idle up. Makes sense that it does it that way because the ECU is not smart enough to do it from back then. But then it also goes to the mysterious plug underneath. So the one that I talked about earlier on the battery tray. So I'm assuming that this goes to the fuse box up front on the passenger side is what I'm assuming that this is for. So we still haven't located this mysterious wire yet. And then we're gonna have to see where this other side of this connector goes as well. So the plot thickens. All right, so we found the wire, the mysterious 3-pump plug. It goes into this connector here, which is light blue in color. Here though, I guess that should be light blue, but it's so faded. Don't know what it's for yet, but at least we found it. All right, so we've got the harness routed through. Extreme pain, but it's all routed through here. Just like before on the Datsun car, the other Datsun car, we have all the stuff that we're not using on one side and the things that we are using on the other side. So this is all routed. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this engine to run first, and then we'll deal with the rest of the harness. So what we're doing right now, and there's dozens of videos on this online, so I'm not going to go over it too much, but this is the distributor. This is the trigger wheel here. We're swapping this out. We're going to be swapping this one out to the DIY auto tune unit. Basically what it is that this one has less teeth than this one does. Nissan uses some kind of weird 360 slit teeth to get it all figured out. It's way too much, it's way too little resolution. This on the other hand makes it a lot simpler. This is what we call a 24-2. Basically there would be 24 holes, except for 2 of them are missing, so there's only actually 22 holes, and then obviously the 2 that are missing. So we're going to swap this out here. It makes it a lot easier for standalone ECUs to read. There's a lot of ECUs nowadays that will read the factory Nissan 360 slot, but even still it's kind of iffy really. So this works a lot better. It'll start faster and everything. So we'll swap this over and then we'll get it going. Alright, so we've encountered something really goofy here. So if you look at these little tangs here and the D-shaped shaft, it doesn't fit. So I don't know if it's misprinted or what, but it looks like it's only going to go in this way with, so that's that right there. I guess we'll see what happens. So the distributor cap is back on with the trigger wheel installed. So next is wiring it in. So what we're going to do is we're just going to lob off the harness right here, and then what we're going to do is figure out what we need for the fuel tech wiring. So the fuel tech is really cool in the sense that it's pre-wired for the crank if you have a Hall and a VR, and then also for the cam. So if you're using, you know, sequential, which we're not, then you've got these as well. So what we're going to do is basically, again, we're going to lob it off right here. We're going to hook this up and then start it, or crank it rather. It's not going to start. Obviously we don't have injectors or anything hooked up. As you can see, I took the rags out. So remember, as we're cranking the engine, it's going to start making vacuum. And the last thing we need to do is pull these guys down, right? So we've got this out of the way here. We're all clean of debris, so there's no worries there. So we'll get it hooked up and we'll see what happens. All right, fuel tech is plugged in. Power wires ran, so if we key it on, we should hopefully get everything. Bam, look at that. Fuel tech is on. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so we're gonna key it off. We're gonna turn it off for now, and then we're gonna try to hook up our distributor wiring, and then we'll come back and set this up. So. Unfortunately, when I was doing this earlier, it's for some reason didn't record any voice audio for some reason. I'm not sure why. But so essentially what was happening was I was cranking and it was only showing 84 RPM. And so that's definitely not right. So I went ahead and I hopped into like what's called oscilloscope mode here. And what this does is that it just records while you're cranking, and it shows what the sensor is seeing. So what basically happens is you get something that looks like this is it right here. So this is actually a recording or a photo of what was happening, and it's hard to tell, but if you look at these little ridges here, that's what the sensor's seeing. So it's seeing tooth, then the blank spot, then tooth, blank spot, rinse and repeat. And if you look here, you can see, if you're looking at the green, you can see where it's the two missing teeth are, and then you can see again basically here's the teeth. So I'm not sure what's really going on there. I went ahead and I posted up in the support group to see if anyone can give me a hand on that, but that's kind of where we're at. But it's a good sign that we are seeing RPM, though it's not correct. That's a really good sign showing that, you know, everything essentially is wired up, and now it's just a configuration problem. As far as configuration goes, there's a few ways this is handled here. So let me go here, RPM, signal. So we know for a fact that ours is a Hall sensor. So there's 3 wires to it: power, ground, and signal. VR sensors only have 2 wires, but ours has 3. So we know it's a Hall wire. Now, whether it's rising or falling, we don't really know. So you actually need to use an actual oscilloscope to see it, because an actual oscilloscope will show like the raises and the drops. So while ours looks like little squares, an oscilloscope will actually show it what it looks like as the sensor is reading live. So it looks more like an EKG, and it'll tell you what you're at. So currently we have 24-2, so at the crank. So the distributor is mounting in the head, so it's technically a 12-1. So I did actually have it at 12-1, and I tried a couple different ways off camera, and unfortunately we just could not get anything out of it. So the only thing that actually showed up was 24-2. So again, realistically, it should be 24-2, not 1-1. So what this indicates is that there's 2 missing teeth on 2 separate ends. Ours are basically next to each other. So it basically develops a very large tooth, if you will, instead of 2 separate ones. So, but yeah, I wonder if that's actually a 24-1 then, now that I think about it. Anyways, so the battery unfortunately is dead, like they all are. So it's on the charger now. So here, this is the crank index, and this is basically what like a lot of other ECUs called like the first trigger tooth. And the only way of actually knowing this is taking the trigger tooth back off, rotating to top dead center, and then checking it again. However, what's really cool is that there is a setting in here where you can look at it and it'll kind of deduce it for you. So pretty cool stuff here, but it's obviously got to be done live. So we're making some pretty good progress, not exactly as fast as I'd like, but it is definitely getting there. Alrighty, here's the intake manifold that Jeremiah blocked off for us, EGR ports and stuff like that. So obviously we're leaving this. We're going to try to reuse this for the ECU, and here's more junk that we're getting rid of.